Oh my God, you guys come in here, sit down and shut the door. I know you are still reeling from the federal government dropping major, the most emotionally charged offenses against Diddy, and I put my ear to the ground and I'm seeing what is being said. But here's the thing we have to talk about, just keep your mind open because at this point we have to talk about everything, not just the things that we know, not just the things we want to believe, but what actually may be happening now. We need to talk about Diddy and how what the feds did might be his road to pardon. Okay, here's a everyone's whispering, but no one's saying outright. Did he cut a secret deal with the feds? I know. But hear me out. Just because the government well, okay, hear me out. Let me organize the thoughts. Let's get into this because the government just dropped all the state charge kidnapping, attempted arson, aiding smacks, trafficking gone, and all that's left are federal charges. And if you've been paying attention, you already know you can't be pardoned for state
Present,
convictions,
and no
but you
longer
can
has a
be
voice who
pardoned
will
for
pursue
federal
justice
ones.
for her
And our
accusation.
president has signaled that if he
As of the
sees
taken
evidence
against
that
Diddy,
Sean Diddy Combs
no
was being
expansion of the
treated
investigation,
unfairly, he
no
would
isolation
consider a
orders,
pardon.
no
Those
equipment
were his words,
access,
not mine.
no suspension
Google
of
it,
attorney
and I didn't want to
communication.
believe the whispers at first, but y'all, they're getting louder. What if the feds want this case to be federal only? And what if he gave them something or some behind closed doors? And if so, what does this mean for justice for the victims and for the truth? Don't worry, y'all. I got the receipts. I got the legal play by play, and I'm going to walk you through everything the headlines won't tell you. Y'all, let's go. Okay. Now, just to catch you up to speed, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, late money prosecutors dropped some of the most dramatic charges against Sean Diddy Combs. You guys know that was the attempted kidnapping under California and New York law, attempted arson and aiding smex trafficking. Okay, now officially they're calling it streamlining of jury instructions, but off the record in back rooms, people are nervous. They're whispering and they're wondering because this isn't just about legal strategy. This might be about a secret deal. Think about it. The state charges were the most graphic, most specific, and the hardest to erase with a pin stroke. You can't get a presidential pardon for state conviction, but for federal charges, you can. Okay, since they've erased all state and they only leave federal quest standing, you have to question, did he hand over names, locations, or footage that helped build a bigger case? And is this the price of playing with power at this level, protection in exchange for silence? Because here's the dangerous truth. If this was a quiet cooperation deal, it helps Diddy in more ways than one. First, it makes him look less dangerous. See, you guys, no kidnapping, no arson, just your friendly neighbor pervert. Second, it creates the appearance that the case is weakening, just appearance softening public outrage, just in time for the defense's big finish, which is their closing argument. And third, and this is the part people are forgetting, it opens the door to a future pardon. Remember, federal crime can be erased by a presidential signature, but state convictions sit. So the question becomes, did the federal government just remove the only thing standing between Diddy and a clean political escape? And while we're asking these questions, listen, because some people are like, oh, don't worry, the state's going to bring up charges. Well, I have a question. Where are the state prosecutors? Why haven't California and New York DA stepped up and said, we'll pursue those charges ourselves? Their silence speaks volumes, and I'm going to walk you through everything, whether it's legally possible for Diddy to cut a deal without public knowledge, how a presidential pardon could play out, and why the absence of state-level action right now is either strategy or surrender. You guys stay with me because once you understand this map, you'll see exactly what path they might be paving. Okay. Let's walk you through this like it's a legal trademark. The feds dropped only state-based crimes, not federal. Attempted kidnapping, attempted arson, and aiding smacks trafficking. They kept the federal recall, federal smacks trafficking, and forced labor, obstruction labor, and of justice. Now, what's the legal significance of that? State crimes can't be pardoned by the U.S. president. Federal crimes can. The fact that only unpardonable charges were removed raises the questions why and why now. Now, some people said, now here's the thing you have to keep in mind. These aren't state prosecutions. They're federal prosecutors trying to use state criminal statutes to help make their case. Now, that was rare. It's legal, but it's also very messy. Why did they include them? Because sometimes state definitions cover gaps that
Present,
federal law
and no
doesn't,
longer has a
especially
voice
when
who
it
will
comes to
pursue
violent,
justice for her
coercive conduct.
accusation.
So the million-dollar
As of the
question,
taken
if
against
Diddy is
Diddy,
cooperating,
no expansion
why
of the
drop his
investigation,
state-based counts?
no
Well,
isolation
here's the
orders,
plausible
no
cooperation
equipment
logic.
access,
State
no
law-based
suspension of
charges are
attorney
easier to drop
communication.
quietly, They aren't the headline federal charges, like RICO and SMEX trafficking. Dropping them gives the fence a visible win without touching the big federal accounts, which the feds still need for leverage, and it signals progress in cooperation without confirming it. No paperwork has to be filed publicly at this stage, so they may have dropped the drop charges, may have been a symbolic trade-off, help us with X, Y, and Z, and we'll make sure those state charges don't follow you after the trial. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people said, like, Robin, my girl Robin said, but wouldn't cooperation be on public record? Well, you guys, yes and no, or actually not yet, and sometimes not ever, depending how the deal is structured. Cooperation agreements are often under seal to protect against active investigations, ongoing targets who might not know they're being watched, and safety of the cooperator. The public usually doesn't find out until sentencing when the prosecution says Mr. Cole provided substantial assistance. We recommend a lighter sentence under 5K 1.1. That's the federal formal snitch card. So right now, if Diddy is cooperating, they wouldn't want it to be on record again. Taking it to legal deals with cooperators are often sealed under Rule 6E of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure. Grand jury materials, informant deals, and cooperation agreements can be kept secret for national security, safety, or investigative reasons. United States veto courts actually upheld, and this is a 1995 Second Circuit decision, so it rules this case. Courts upheld sealing cooperation deals to protect identities and preserve ongoing investigations. So yes, Diddy could be cooperating without us ever seeing it publicly. And again, don't forget, cooperating with feds doesn't always look like testifying. It can mean providing names, documents, devices, and even helping decode encrypted evidence. In cases like Operation Varsity Blues, celebrities helped without testifying, but their cooperation was rewarded behind the scenes. This keeps reputations intact and protects the government's leverage in ongoing investigations. Now, the state may stay quiet on purpose. State prosecutors in New York and California have said nothing about refiling or pursuing these drop charges. Why possibilities? Let's go through them. The feds asked them to stand down during an ongoing broader federal probe. If Diddy is helping build bigger cases, filing state charges too early could expose cooperating witnesses, including Diddy, and political coordination between the DOG and the state AGs is common when elite defendants are involved. Now, this does mirror silent cooperation deals in major cases. Tekashi 69, he cooperated secretly. Feds minimized his charges. No early leaks. Public found out at sentencing. Let's also not forget Sammy the Bull Gravano's case. Murder charges dropped because he gave up the entire Gambino hierarchy. We see the pattern drop. Some charges now. Protect informant, cash out later. And let's also not forget that the presidential pardon angle is real. Trump pardoned multiple federal criminals with no public reasoning, including Rob Bagoli, the former Illinois governor convicted of corruption, Michael Flynn, who actually lied to the FBI, and Kodak Black and Lil Wayne under federal gun charges. If Diddy is only convicted on federal charges and keeps political connection, strong Trump or even a future president could wipe the all out away in the future. That's why the removal of state charges matters so much. There's also strategic optics. They are saying that a softened defendant makes pardon easier. There's no kidnapping,
present,
no arson,
and no longer
no
has a
physical
voice who will
violence
pursue
charges
justice
anymore.
for her
The
accusation.
public of OpShift from
As of the
monster
taken
predator
against
to
Diddy,
music mogul
no
who made
expansion of the
mistakes.
investigation,
It's a softer
no
image.
isolation
It
orders,
makes it easier
no
for a
equipment
future president
access,
to justify
no
a
suspension
pardon,
of attorney
especially if
communication.
Diddy claims he was targeted or canceled. You guys, this is a gamble, but we have to be honest. If you look at legal precedences, we've seen it before. Similar federal simplifications were made in Young Thug's trial. The overcomplication led to chaos, and in the Harvey Weinstein retrial, feds narrowed the scope when cases got too emotionally driven or shaky. The strategy is go big or go home. But when you lose nuance, you also risk losing the jury. You guys, again, we are on edge. We're going into court today. They are going to have a legal battle from 12-hour to 5-hour. We're going to be in there covering everything. But again, this is all just theory. Okay, because nobody really knows why it happened. But all we know is the feds just quietly removed the only charges that couldn't be erased by a president's pen, and no one saying why. And did he give them names, documents, or passwords that deal could stay still forever? But what's not sealed is the fact that the state is saying silent, and its silence may be the loudest clue yet. You guys listen. I'm going to be dropping a bunch of videos today. We're going to get into this. Let me know what you think. I'm going to have another video up probably by the time you are done listening to this. I will talk to you guys soon. All right, stay strong. Diddy's going down, but we need to make sense of what's going on. And I hope these videos are helping you along the way. I'll talk to you all soon.